Good afternoon. My name is Jim Conlan, and welcome to today's episode of our sports show. As you know, we premiere all types of sports here, and our special feature this evening is for all our boxing fans all across Ireland here. It's a showcase heavyweight encounter. It's coming up on November the 26th. It can be viewed here on Sky Box Office, in BT Sports and Sky Sports here in Ireland and the UK. It's a showdown. It's a clash of the unbeaten Jermaine Franklin, 21-0. 14 KOs against Dillian Whyte, 28-3, 19 KOs as well. Jermaine Franklin coming into this fight as the unbeaten fighter. He goes up against Dillian Whyte, whose last match was against Tyson Fury as such. So two heavyweight contenders trying to make their mark. A ranked match in terms of the heavyweight division. Whoever comes victorious in this counter will put themselves in line for a possible title shot in the near future, and definitely will move themselves closer to a shot maybe at Alexander Usyk or Tyson Fury in the near future. And I suppose, Jermaine, I see by you preparation is in full swing at the moment for Dillian Whyte, and obviously training camp is going well by the looks of things, and you're putting in the hard yards.
Yes, sir. Grinding every day is a grind. We're just grinding for it.
And I suppose in terms of this fight, Jermaine, was it long in the making? Was it a long process to try and arrange this sort of fight, or when did it come out to pass that a possible showdown with Dillian Whyte would be taking place in London for you?
Well, yeah, well, it was first talked about probably like a year ago, but stuff had fell through. He ended up getting a Tyson Fury fight, so we just waited for our opportunity to come back, and we got the call. So now just trying to make it happen.
Yeah, I suppose, Jermaine, in terms of the build up to this fight, Dillian has a lot to say in terms of Anthony Joshua looking ahead, saying he wants this rematch with Joshua, and sort of looking ahead in terms of what he wants in terms of heavyweight division. Do you think that's a bit sort of disrespectful to you that in the lead up to the fight that he's talking about AJ and Joshua and sort of talking about you first?
I really don't pay too much of that no mind. You know, I'm a tunnel vision type of guy, so I really could care less what he say, what he talk about. You know, I'm just focused on what I got to do and getting that W.
And obviously for you, Jermaine, in terms of this route, in terms of this sort of boxing sort of venture, you have an unblemished record, 21-0. This is probably the biggest fight for you so far in terms of your career. All day, you had good victories over Rydell Booker and Corey Phelps as well. Do you feel the time is right now to take on a ranked fighter in the top 10 in the world?
Yeah, I feel like the time is right. Like I said, I've been waiting on my time, and we're finally getting the opportunity. So I'm gonna take full advantage of it. You know, I gotta get this dub and then possibly go take on AJ.
And Jermaine, you spoke about your admiration growing up for Lennox Lewis, another sort of British fighter, and in terms of his style. And is your boxing skills, do you feel they're sort of mirror Lennox Lewis's strengths in terms of what you can do and what you can achieve in the ring?
Not really. I really try not to mirror too many people. I study the game and I try to pick up pieces off of strong points that other boxers was good off of, but I don't really try to mimic them. Every fighter's got their own style, and you don't want to mess yourself up trying to be somebody else.
And Jermaine, I was doing my research in terms of you growing up, and you found boxing at an early age in terms of trying to get out of a rough spot that was going on in terms of your sort of teenage life. It taught you sort of discipline, it taught you maturity, it taught you to grow up fairly fast as a sort of teen. But were you fairly active in terms of other sports, in terms of American football, in terms of basketball, or was boxing the only outlet for you to begin with?
I only played football. I only played basketball like 4th grade. I wrestled middle school through like the 10th grade, probably like 6th grade through the 10th grade. I played football for a couple years, but I was kind of big in high school, so I didn't want to play offensive tackle. I wasn't with that. No, but I was boxing. I've probably been boxing since I was like 12, 13. So I was still boxing while I was playing other sports. I just had the passion more for boxing than I did the other sports.
And in terms of your amateur career, Jermaine, in terms of an amateur, in terms of going forward, when did this sort of boxing become a sort of a serious, okay, this could really go places? Was it 16, 17 that you recognized that you might have a career in the sport?
Yeah, I think after the first time I lost Golden Gloves Nationals, that's kind of when around that time is when I recognized I can make a serious effort. I can do something. I can take this a long way, because I've been kind of in and out the gym my whole life. So around that time, getting in shape and going to Golden Gloves, and I had lost to Cam Awesome. And then we came back and beat him the next year in National Golden Gloves. So around that time is like when I really thought I could make a serious career out of boxing.
And I suppose you have been in the boxing game now for roughly 7 years as a professional. You made your debut in 2015 against Sean Jenkins. And in terms of your sort of career path, was it sort of to rack up the sort of victories early on in terms of trying to get you to 10-0, maybe 12-0, and sort of look at the next sort of step to get as much professional rounds into your body as quickly as possible? And obviously, as a heavyweight fighter, some of those early sort of victories were very short, early KOs. So in terms of getting the longer runs, the longer fights, the 12 rounders, how important was that to you in terms of building your development?
It wasn't that hard getting started, because my coaches always kind of had me around. Even as an amateur, we sparred some pros. So sparring long rounds between like 8 to 10s, I was kind of doing that as an amateur already. I think I had more of a pro style as an amateur. So most of my fights, I was kind of a big kid, so most of my fights only came in tournaments. So outside of tournaments, we would just do a ton of sparring. So I think I always been able to go big rounds. It's just that when you first turn pro, you kind of get in this rhythm of knocking people out all the time. So when you fight opponents that's not easy to knock out, it's just good to stay poised and calm. You might have to go those long rounds a couple times just to be able to see what it's like, or just to get the experience.
See, Jermaine, you're fully in camp mode at the moment. You're based in London in the UK at the moment in terms of this preparation for Dillian Whyte. When did you arrive over in terms of the UK, in terms of the preparation for this fight? And are you sort of deep? Are you sort of winding down now in terms of camp, in terms of all the hard work that I imagine is possibly done ahead of the big fight on November the 26th?
Yeah, we starting to wind down. For camp now, just light workouts. But we've probably been over here for about 2.5, 3 weeks. First week and a half was really hard, trying to get over jet lag, get my body used to being over here, time difference and stuff. But after we got through that, we just picked up and we've been having a good camp.
Yeah, and in terms of sparring, it was difficult enough to get sort of sparring partners that mimic sort of Dillian Whyte in terms of his attributes, or in terms of you being lucky enough to get the right people that you wanted in terms of sparring partners to prepare you for Dillian?
I wouldn't say it was hard. We got people that I wouldn't say that can mimic him, but probably has sort of a similar style that he has. So we have got some decent sparring to be able to prepare for him for this camp.
And in terms of Dillian, I know obviously a fighter is not going to talk about another fighter's sort of weaknesses, but are there certain areas that you watched over the sort of last few fights over Dillian that you can see that there are chunks in his armor without giving it away? Are you fairly positive that you and your camp have spotted little things that might surprise Dillian in terms of the opening few rounds that you could sort of throw at him in terms of being able to spot that sort of chunks in his armor?
Yeah, we spotted a lot of things. It's not really like people look for a lot of the big things. We look for a lot of the small things. It's like little small errors people make that can cause a big reaction. So we've been capitalizing on looking on the small errors, trying to make a big capitalization off of it.
And you're obviously no disrespect to Jermaine, but in terms of the British journalists and the UK journalists, not here in Ireland, but the British journalists are probably going in saying that you're coming in as a bit of an underdog, and in terms of Dillian having faced Tyson and AJ, and Dillian's having an awful lot to say. Do you sort of relish that in some way, because the pressure's off you, the pressure's all on Dillian in terms of his performance and what's expected of him, so you can sort of concentrate on the job that you have to do yourself?
I mean, we always focus. We always concentrating on. I really I'm not bothered by. I always been in people's backyards for basically my whole career. We always had to go somewhere else, somebody else's hometown, and we always had to take fights like that. So it's just another fight to me. It's not like me being here or him being British is really taking effect on me or anything. So I just look at it as another fight. I'm gonna treat him like a world champion.
And obviously, the O2 in London is a big, massive arena to have a spectacle boxing fight. And I suppose you have been in some big rings in your past, been in some bigger arenas. But the O2 can be sort of daunting that sort of first time. Have you been there? Have you walked around? Have you sort of been around, sort of got a grasp of the feel for the facility as of yet?
Yeah, we had went to some fights there the day we got here. So yeah, I got a feel of it, how the crowd is, how interactive they is, and how loud they could get and stuff. But like I tell everybody, when you step in that ring, it's only you and him. So nobody else can, even though you might hear them outside the ring, they can't fight for you. So when you in that ring, you got to focus. All outside noise is irrelevant at that point in time.
And before this big fight, in terms of landing this fight with Dillian Whyte, were there other opportunities that probably slipped through the grasp? Maybe Andy Ruiz, Victor Ortiz, in terms of fighters like that, in terms of Luis Ortiz, in terms of Otto Wallin, in terms of other Dominic Brazil, in terms of other big fighters in heavyweight division. Were there other fights before now that probably were close to the dotted line, the dotted T's that didn't come to pass? And Dillian is the first one that's got over the line for you in terms of that. And obviously fighting Dillian, obviously you hope the bigger names will come thick and fast after it.
Yeah, we haven't got any of those names across the table yet. Like I said, we've been trying to get the Dillian fight for a while now, so happy that came across the table. But no, any of the other names you said, we haven't got none of those across the table.
And I suppose in terms of Jermaine, in terms of those sort of opening rounds, in terms of building up the sort of stamina, is it almost do fighters go in into another person's backyard and try and the first one or two rounds try and feel your way into the fight, be a bit sort of that bit smart, that bit elusive, that bit cagey, sort of dampen the crowd, dampen the expectations, and then as you to the fourth, fifth round comes in, then obviously implement your own style and game plan. But how very important is those first one or two rounds to obviously settle in, obviously dampen the crowd and get a feel for it, and maybe not go gun bro straight from the off?
I mean, it's just important to come in and get comfortable and get your game plan. It really doesn't matter what rounds you do it in. It's just about you being comfortable and being able to fight your fight. So, the first two rounds is good to make a statement, but, it's a lot of people that win the first two rounds that lose a fight.
And I suppose, Jermaine, in terms of family, in terms of fan base from the United States, have a good lot of your family, close friends, have they come over to in terms of this fight to support you? And do you feel there's going to be a good lot of Jermaine Franklin sort of friends or people that are close to you in your sort of corner for this fight?
I just have a cousin over here that stays in Germany. My girl's supposed to be coming down. But besides that, we made a couple fans since we've been out here. But yeah, that's about it though for right now.
And obviously that can be a good thing as well, because you keep your mind focused on the job and there's no sort of extra distractions or anything that sort of focus on your sort of camp. And in terms of sparring, in terms of hitting the bags now, do you feel that maybe you have the real power that maybe Dillian Whyte has, maybe a disrespect? Obviously, you have 14 KOs in those 21. So you must really feel that you have the sort of power game in that sort of locker, that maybe one or two shots that maybe Dillian will respect your power once he meets your power in the ring.
I mean, everybody disrespect the power until they get caught by it. So, I really don't listen to the noise. I just go in there and fight my fight, try to box. And when the opportunity presents itself, I'm going to let them feel it.
And finally, Jermaine, before I let you go now, in terms of your own goals and aspirations going forward, if you're successful against Dillian, which no doubt you will be in terms of your own ambitions and such, do you want those sort of big fights to come now in terms of that? Or do you want to say, do you want another one or two sort of fights before a Usyk or a Fury? But do you feel after performance against White? Did you, this time in your career, do you want those big fights come now, come thick and fast in terms of your career?
I mean, we always want the big fights, but it's really about what all present itself. You know, you got number one ranked contenders and all that stuff, how boxing works. So it's really just when the opportunity to present itself, but we're most definitely trying to stay busy until we get the opportunity.
On that note, Jermaine Franklin, a big shout out to you in terms of your preparation for your heavyweight championship encounter, November the 26th in the O2 London Arena. Jermaine Franklin coming in as the unbeaten fighter into this fight. 21 fights, 14 KOs against Dillian Whyte, the British home-based fighter. 28 fights, 3 losses and 19 KOs. We wish you all the best of luck, Jermaine, and hopefully we can see as camp is coming to a close for you now that you're in a good position and everything's ready to rock and roll on November the 26th in the O2 London. For the moment, Jermaine Franklin, take care. God bless.
Thank you.